St Peter's Winter Ale.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I have got one here from the St Peter's Brewery, and it is their Winter Ale, in keeping with all the winter and Christmas beers I am going to be doing for December. And this one is from the United Kingdom. It is from St Peter's Brewery, which is based in Norfolk, specifically in a place called South Elam, or Elam. It's near a place called Bungay, and I've had a few from this brewery before, and they've been pretty decent as it goes. And the beer that they do is also available in a pub in London on cask called the Jerusalem. I've done a little bit about it before. If you check out the Ruby Ale from St Peter's, I'll give you a big history of the brewery, of the pub in London, how good it is and how good the beer is on cask. But on this one, I don't really want to concentrate on the history too much. You know, if you're really interested in the history, then I suggest you check out the Ruby Ale video because it's all in there. But this one, it really does appeal to me, and I really do like this time of year because you do get the beers in the United Kingdom which are known as winter warmers, which are also classified as old ale. And old ale is one of my favourite styles of British beer. It's very malty, quite high in alcohol, quite fruity as well, and it's full on with flavour if you get a good one. And I've had a few from this brewery before, and they've all been good. In fact, I don't think that I've had a bad one, and it's quite reasonable as well. This cost me £2.51. This came from Beers of Europe, but some of their beers are available in the supermarket. I know Morrison's do some of their beers. They do the bitter and the blonde ale, I think they do. In fact, I think I might have some of the blonde ale in the fridge, possibly, don't know. Won't be doing that for a while though. This is going to be, you know, the month of December, it's just going to be winter beers. I'm trying to get hold of as many winter beers as I can to review. This, on the face of it, looks pretty decent. It's in keeping with an old ale, with the ABV and from the flavour description. So I really don't want to linger too much. I really want to try this beer out. So let's stop gassing and let's investigate this beer. Okay, 500ml bottle, 6.5% as I just mentioned, and it is a winter ale, a winter warmer, old ale, whatever you want to call it. And it's quite interesting because the flavour description sounds right up my street. Christmas cake aromas with a rich black treacle taste. Who's not going to like that, eh? The bottle is quite interesting. It's based on an old gin bottle design that was around in the United States, in Philadelphia, if my memory serves me correctly, in the 1880s, and they've copied that design and put their beer into it. It's also got a raven on the front that is to commemorate the Viking occupation of that part of the United Kingdom, where I'm from, London, under Anglo-Saxon control. The Vikings never incurred that far down. They got their asses kicked by the Saxons, and King Alfred basically, he stopped them and said, on your fucking bike, son, you ain't coming to London. But this really does look good, and let me just read out the description if I can actually read it. This deep mahogany red strong ale is a classic example of a winter warmer. Yeah, winter warmer, as I mentioned, it's an interchangeable term that's high in alcohol and rich in taste. An excellent balance of malty sweetness and hoppy bitterness. Gives aromas of Christmas cake with hints of black treacle and vine fruits. That sounds right up my street. So let's stop guessing. Let's get it open. Now I've had it in the fridge, and I know I shouldn't have kept it in the fridge. I should have just kept it on the side in a cool, dark place, because I'm pretty sure that this is bottle conditioned, and you know, if you put bottle conditioned beer in a fridge, the yeast or the yeast sediment, which should still be, you know, eating up all the sugars that are in there, it's not as efficient at cold temperatures, because this is a top fermented beer. Top fermenting means of a higher temperature when it's fermented, when it's, you know, when it's in the mash tun. That's when the yeast really is at its peak in warmer temperature. Lager, on the other hand, that's the reason that's put in a fridge, because it's suited to that. It's bottom fermented. You don't get many lagers. Well, I suppose Keller beer can have some of that. If you keep Keller beer in there, that's going to be good. But the whole point of lager is all this maturing is done before it goes out. You know, where it gets its name lager, it means it's stored. Lager in German means store, so it's stored for a while. Everything's eaten up, all the diacetyl, all the nasties, all the sugar. The yeast eat it, and that's how that works. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get this open, see what's going on. Right, here's the cap. It's got the raven on the cap, along with a key. I think the key is something to do with the nearby castle that was there. Let's get it in the glass. I do like these bottles, very ergonomic. They fit in the hand quite nicely. And it really does look nice. Looks like a proper old ale, very dark in colour. There's a reasonable amount of carbonation in that, but let's see what we're getting on the nose. Oh, I think I can smell that from here. Oh, it smells absolutely gorgeous. Super strong toffee malt. And that dark fruit that they mention. It's huge. The aroma is just as I would expect it. There's roasted malt in there, and if you look at it in the glass, that does look dark. If you hold it up to the light, there is the faintest of brown hues to this beer. And it is very in keeping with the style of a winter warmer. Old ale, barley wine, whatever you want to call it. There it is in the glass. Oh, it's lovely. It smells really good. Let's get it down the hatch. Bottoms up. Oh, really good. Really long finish on that. Oh, it's excellent. There's big, strong toffee malt and roasted malt in that, which gives it an almost coffee-ish type flavour to it. But there's quite a bit of sweetness on there as well, and that sweetness is, as they say, it's like golden syrup or treacle, that type. But on top of that, you've got a layer of dark fruit like figs, dates, black cherry, that style. But it's just super rich. It's almost reminiscent of a porter with them roasted malts in there. You do get coffee, dark chocolate on the finish, but there's toffee in there as well. The toffee malt is quite big. But this has got a ton of fruit on there as well, and it gives it quite a sweet edge, a bittersweet edge, if you know what I mean. Oh, it's lovely. That is a real good one. It's super rich, and at 6.5%, you've got to take it a little bit easy with this. But you shouldn't be chugging this anyway, because this has got some nice flavours that need to be savoured. And I say this with all these winter beers, it's all about the flavour with them, the flavour and the high ABV, especially the Belgian stuff. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, 6.5% doesn't sound that strong, but for a British beer, it is. British beers, usually British ale, it's usually a lower style ABV beer, and it's designed for, you know, drinking quite a few of. Beers like this, they're designed to savour and to generally drink with a meal, or to sit down, you know, by a fireside and not really chug them. I mean, to be honest, I could drink quite a few of these, but I know I'd be paying for it the next day. It's lovely. It really is good, and it reminds me of some of the good old ales that are out there. The finish on it is massive. It's like a bitter, dark chocolate, dark fruit style finish, but there's a sweetness to it too that is, they call it treacle. I'd say it's more like molasses. But what I like about this, and this is the difference I find with the Belgian doubles and this old ale and Belgian brown ales as well, some of them, they've got a lot in common. But what they haven't got in common is the carbonation. Carbonation on this is minimal, and I like that. The Belgian stuff, because it's, again, that's a usually a bottle conditioned beer that's had candy sugar added to it to allow it to do another fermentation in the bottle. That also creates a hell of a lot of carbonation. Sometimes that can be obtrusive, but with these British beers, you don't get that massive carbonation, and it does give way, I think, you know, and this may sound like I'm, you know, talking at cross purposes, because the carbonation does give the flavour, you know, it does assist the flavour in being pushed around and promoted, but you still get tons of flavour with this, even with minimal carbonation. Oh, I just can't get over how good this is. It's really nice. If you're a fan of any of the winter warmer beers, you know, the Shepherd Neame Winter Warmer, the Sam Smith's Winter Welcome, that type of thing, you're going to love this, because it is just full of flavour. Malty, rich malty flavour. There's some bitterness on it from the roasted malt, but that's about it. The dark fruit and the malt are huge on this. So what's the verdict on St Peter's Winter Ale? I really like it. The description on this, I think, is pretty accurate. The Christmas cake aromas, yeah, that's on there, definitely. I am getting that. And they say there's a black treacle taste. Yeah, there is. I'd liken that more to a roasted malt with a bit of sweetness. Now, you could probably interpret that as molasses or treacle. I don't think it's as sweet as that. There is some bitterness on there too, and they do mention the hop bitterness. But this really is all about the malt. And it's a good one. And it's only 6.5%, and it does taste a little bit stronger. Now, it's very reminiscent, or that's a lie, it's slightly reminiscent of a porter or a stout, but it's just so full-bodied as well. And you know, you could be mistaken for saying that that is a stout. It certainly does taste, it has a lot of the characteristics of a stout, but I find it's a little bit sweeter than your average stout. But whatever it is, that is really nice. I do like that. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And that is another winner from St Peter's. I really like this brewery. I've tried the best bitter. That was nice. I've tried the Ruby Ale, which I thought was superb. And the Winter Ale is another winner from this. I really like it. So that is definitely a 9 out of 10. And that is definitely recommended. Get it for £2.50 from £2.51, sorry, from Beers of Europe. Really good. Well worth buying. And remember, beer is working class champagne.